The first part of that is, what do I think about the Iowa Core? This is part of Common Core. I'm not real excited about Common Core. I think that most things with curriculum should be developed locally. I'm sort of old-fashioned. Ronald Reagan wanted to get rid of the Department of Education. I still would. I'd get rid of it. Because I'm not sure anybody's any smarter since 1980 that our kids are doing better when compared on international testing. I'm not opposed to testing. In fact, when I was a kid, we took a national test. It was the California Achievement Test. But each state sort of looked around and they decided to do it. But now when you mandate it from above, everybody's like in Kentucky, we have our own testing, and we take a national test, and the government forces us to take another test. The kids are tested to death, I think, and not necessarily any smarter. Is some testing good? Yes. But I would let local people figure that out. I think if you want innovation, you need more freedom for the superintendent, the principal, the assistant principal, the teachers. I also think that we make a mistake as Republicans blaming teachers for everything, because frankly, some of the fault, we need to look in the mirror. It's parents' fault as well. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Outliers, and they talk about the poverty gap. If you look in kindergarten or first grade and you test kids, poor kids test worse than middle class and rich kids. And it gets worse each year until about fifth grade. It just keeps getting worse over time as kids go to school. But if you look at it in September and May of each year, it gets narrower each year in school and gets wider in the summer. All of the difference in poverty gap can be accounted from kindergarten to like fifth grade in the summer, not during school. So actually our schools aren't as bad as we think. It's we, the parents, aren't as good as we think. And if we don't understand that, we won't be able to fix the problem. I think you need more innovation locally. And I don't like the idea of a national curriculum or Common Core, and I'm opposed to that. I was opposed to No Child Left Behind also, which is what Republicans did, which doubled the size of the Department of Education, spent much more money in Washington, had many more mandates on testing, and frankly judged whether a teacher was good or bad from Washington. Nobody in Washington has a clue whether your local teacher here is good or bad. It's a way for us to be actually on the side of teachers. Most teachers hated No Child Left Behind, but it was also federalization of the control. I think if we can be for more local control and tell teachers, frankly, nobody in Washington knows whether you're a good teacher or bad. Let's judge that locally, and it still has to be judged. We need to improve our teachers. There's all kinds of great stuff going on in education. Has anybody ever seen Khan Academy? There's this guy named Salman Khan. He doesn't have a teaching certificate, but he's an engineer from MIT. He has like 2,000 YouTubes that are like a minute or two long, maybe 3 minutes long, on just different scientific things. Like I watched one the other day for one of my kids on the Doppler effect. It's the best explanation I've ever heard. And what you could do in education, if you want to transform education, is you could have extraordinary teachers anywhere in the world who would teach classes. You would still have the local teacher, but why not have the person who's the best person in the entire world to explain calculus, explain it to your kids in your local high school? They'd do a lecture, and then your teacher would also then help them to try to understand. But there are extraordinary teachers. Let's pay them more. Let's let them teach millions of kids at a time. Let's let our teachers then learn from the extraordinary teachers the techniques. And you could transform education. Then let kids, give them a choice on where they go to school. Let poor kids get a voucher, let them go anywhere they want. All of a sudden you'd have competition, you'd have much better schools. But I do it all more locally and not at the federal level. Yes?